for whatever is really going on behind the scenes. Because there's like UFO theory is it's a trigger switch. Yeah, for whatever is really going on. UFO theory is it's a trigger switch. Yeah, for whatever is really going on. My new UFO theory is it's a trigger switch.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Conspiracy Wars. My name is Kyle.
And I'm Nathan.
Okay. How's it been going?
Pretty good. Pretty good, dude. And killer intro, I must say. I like that.
Playing around with some things, seeing what works and what doesn't.
That reminded me kind of like of InfoWars intro,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
some guy come in here. Now, the head of the resistance.
Well, that's some pretty high praise, I think. Thank you very much, dude.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah. So I do want to mention last week, because we had a little bit of a hiatus, right? You had some family visiting. I believe you told me I had New Year's, which kind of worked well for me because we had our New Year's celebrations last weekend.
So what is that?
I have no idea what year it is, but we had the celebrations.
So what's the official name of the New Year? It's like not Lunar New Year or
yeah, I don't even know because I'm getting kind of numb to the language,
right?
So I can't clearly remember what they call it.
Okay.
Just like, oh yeah, it's blah blah blah. And I just recognize the sounds.
But you can understand a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not so bad with the language. But I could do better.
What language?
Cambodian. Or it's called Khmer language.
Right. Okay, that's the language. Eh?
Yeah. So anyways, I got a little bit of a ghost story.
Okay.
So you know how I apparently got rid of my ghost, right?
Right.
Who I thought it was someone who I knew that died of stomach cancer.
Okay.
So my niece came over for a lunch, and she likes ghost shows, and she was watching this ghost show, and these guys had this app where it senses stuff and then somehow comes up with words that say something, and they were using that to kind of like get a ghost out. I'm like, what's that app? So for fun, we're like, oh, well, let's find it and download it. So I found like a similar one. I turn it on, and it immediately starts going stomach pain, ow, horror, and I'm just no, I don't like this. And it's like but I'm like, the ghost is still there, and that's this app right here. So here, let's see what it.
Listen, young, destroyed, food, road.
See, now it's just kind of like whatever.
How does it come up with the words?
I don't know. Like GPS, like it has the GPS sensors and just whatever sensor the phone has.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Lip.
Why lip?
Lip. Because we're talking, maybe.
Yeah. I guess it's good for a ghost show, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, you take it to a weird spot, and then all of a sudden it's got all these like words that's saying, right?
Analysis.
Yeah.
Look.
Wow, we were in a old psychiatrist house.
Start.
Like, okay, it said sacred grandfather, harm, give, comfort.
Word.
Like,
do you have any old burial grounds that you might be buried, underneath you here?
Well, the grandfather death was a big one within the family, but
he's not buried here, though. See,
like if you're gonna make a app with a ghost for like a logo, you're gonna put those words together. I don't care how you program it. Make sure though you program it so those words come out together.
Respond.
Oh, see, when I picked it up, it went kind of crazy. All right.
Object.
Oh, okay, because it's got the gyroscopes, hey? So I guess you have to point it at different areas.
Yeah. So that was, but the words that came up with right off the hop was kind of like on point,
Yeah.
where I felt the blood leave my face.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Coincidental.
Yeah.
Like what does it mean? It doesn't mean the walls started bleeding at that moment, and get out of my house.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okie dokie.
yeah. But it was just like that one moment where I had to like kind of shake my face and like, oh, weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my day resumed as normal.
Yeah, ghosts are one of those things where I'm like, I'm always on the fence. I'm like, oh, there could be something there. And then I'm like, no, there's nothing there. And then something comes up and I'm like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
And then I look into it more and I'm like, no, there's nothing there.
Interdimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I was listening to Redacted, that podcast, the news podcast. I think I mentioned them before. They're like a couple of ex Fox anchors, I think, or maybe NBC. I don't know, but
I've listened to it before.
Yeah, they used to be like in the mainstream, and then they got fired for various reasons, and then now they've just got their own private show on. They do Rumble, and then they do Spotify, I think.
Well, good for them.
Yeah, and they've got like a few million followers, so it's enough to keep them going, right?
Yeah.
And so, anyways, they were talking about whistleblowers in the government that they've talked to, and they were saying like, these are all people who have worked in programs for the government that are whistleblowing and admitting that the government has teleportation technology. And they're like that flight, ML 68 or whatever, that Malaysian flight that disappeared. They said that, people have been claiming that was, I don't know if it was a government test or there was people. I know there was important people on that plane. Like, I think there was like 7 important scientists or something, like Korean scientists that were on that plane.
Yeah.
But so there's actually video of that plane, 3 orbs floating around the plane.
I've seen that.
Yeah. And then it disappears.
Looks sick as fuck, eh?
Yeah.
Love it.
And I'm pretty sure I heard another guy who was doing a documentary about it, who was like a complete, like, he's not into conspiracy stuff, but like after all the research he did into it, he was like, it was leading back to like connections to hints of government programs and stuff, like, oh, this guy that like you can connect to, the government was like, in a secret program, and then all of a sudden he started working, at this place, and then they started developing this weird weapon, and then this plane goes missing, and it's just interesting tie-ins, right?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that they had something like that. People always say like they have, whatever they have now, they're actually like 50 years ahead, right?
Yeah. I have 2 reasons why I wouldn't try it. Number one, just a philosophical like thinking on it. To teleport yourself anywhere, it's going to take you apart atom by atom,
sure,
and reassemble you at another spot, right? Are you the same person?
Yeah.
Are you really the same person?
Yeah.
It's too hard to say. Like, are you going to come out the same?
Have you ever seen that movie, The Prestige?
Yes.
Yeah. So, when they're teleporting, right? Like, they're not teleporting, but he like clones him by like electrocuting him or whatever with Tesla's device. And, like that's kind of the same idea, right? Like, that's you teleporting, and he like has his memories and everything, but then like the real him is over there and he's just a replica, right?
You've destroyed yourself, but made a copy somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you're just carrying on like normal.
Yeah.
Are you really on that other side? It's too hard to say, because there was a philosophical problem to solve. It had to do with a boat, and a boat needed repairs on its sail between point A and point B. And by the time it got to point B, it had replaced every board on that boat. Is it the same boat?
Right.
They've already thrown out everything that's old.
Right.
So, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I mean, that's a boat. It's kind of hard to say. I mean,
How about thieves?
a human might be a little different, right?
Yeah.
Because you got like different, spirit and thoughts, and you're alive, so there's a bit
So-
more connection to it.
So that brings me to number 2. There was a very important movie out of I think the 80s that taught us a lesson about this. It was called The Fly.
The
Right?
Fly.
Wasn't that what Jeff Goldblum was trying to do, was teleportation?
Yeah, I think so, right? And then a fly gets into the machine, and then
Yeah, because it took apart his atoms and
right,
the fly's atoms,
switched them, by
and it couldn't
accident,
tell
yeah.
what was what,
Right,
and then reassembled something gross on the other side.
right.
That's a fair point. I think that's a fair point. Like, you can't guarantee that you're gonna teleport clean. Just you. You're wearing clothes.
Mhm.
Are your clothes gonna go over there? Are your clothes gonna end up inside your body?
Yeah,
Like
Philadelphia experiment. You ever
Yeah.
heard that? Right.
how can it go wrong? Everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want a teleporter to go wrong on me.
Like, do you know the story of the Philadelphia experiment?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
one time I when I was back in the day on Napster, like
Yeah.
downloading, like conspiracy videos and stuff. And I had downloaded this like 4 hours or 6 hours of Albiak, and he and his brother had claimed to have been part of the Philadelphia experiment.
Oh.
And this 4 or 6 hour video is just like on a tripod VHS, them sitting on a couch talking this crazy fucking story. And for like, 4, however many hours it was, they're telling this story about like, well, that all started when we were, part of this program. And like, so long story short, they, he fucking claimed to have been part of this project. And I think he got sent back in time on this boat, the whole thing, like the boat disappeared.
Okay.
They got sent back in time. And then I think they got stranded, and they had to end up like somehow switching consciousness or something like that. Like he was like, he came back, when he came back through time, he like was born like later, and he still had his memories or something like that. I don't know. He
Oh.
had some weird, crazy fucking story about how he had been sent back in time, and then he was like in a different body, but he still had his memories of being in the project. And like,
How
you know,
far?
I don't know. I
But,
really,
like,
I really
by,
can't remember. Like,
Like 10 years, or was it
like their time
drastic?
travel?
Yeah.
So from what I remember, it was in the 70s, I think. And he got sent back to the 40s or the 50s.
Philadelphia experience was from the 70s?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it might have been the late 60s, but it was pretty
But
early.
40, like a 20-year kind of like, holy
Yeah.
shit, I really am back in, like, you knew right away.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
think also the story was that they appeared in a bar. So like they just materialized in a bar.
Convenient.
And then they got into a fight with some Marines that were there, and then they disappeared from the bar.
Inconvenient.
Yeah. And anyway, so they're also part of their story was, which was making me think of this, was when the ship disappeared, he said that when they reappeared, all the people, they weren't in the original spot that they were in. So he's like, some people were like fused half into the wall and stuff like that. Like their
yeah.
head was like sticking out, like,
Really?
help me, like,
Yeah.
yeah. And like right away, if you were in there, like you could feel the pain, the pain of like having a wall in you. And it was just like, like,
Was that everybody?
yeah.
Everybody was stuck into a different part of the ship?
Everyone it was a complete randomness. So he's like, some people survived, but a lot of people died. So he's like, people were, fused into parts of the boat, and then other people like were like scared of everything that was going on. Cause I think the idea is that the thing did somehow it affected like sound and heat and vibration or something. There was like 3 properties of physics that they did, at the same time. Like there was an electromagnet at one end, and then, a reverse magnet at the other. And, they had 3 points of this thing, and it created this sphere around them. And then that was the time travel was going on outside that sphere.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like they were on the boat and they could see, like this, bubble around them kind of thing. And it was like probably all crazy flashing lights and whatever. So anyways, guys were freaking out and they were jumping off the boat. And then I think they were just landing at random points in time or something. He figured.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So electromagnetism, that's how they did it?
Yeah. Yeah.
With rotating orbs.
Well, I don't know if it was the rotating orbs. It was more that it was I think that it was electromagnet. So it was like, fast.
Yeah.
Some sort of, rotating magnet that
Maybe plasma was involved just for fun,
Yeah.
However they did it.
I used to know more about it, right? But years years of filling my head with trash.
Yeah. It's it just kind of comes in as like this little fuzzy story that's still in there. But I do recall hearing that story myself many years ago. And was it ever proven? Is it true?
The Y-Files does a thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. That was recent, and that's still even fuzzy.
Yeah. I think they did it like maybe like 3 months ago or something.
Yeah. Now, the conspiracy that we're talking about is they already perfected it. Like it worked, so they can maybe have those 3 orbs go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Make something blink out of existence.
Right. Yeah. So like I think the idea is that plane disappeared. I mean, if they wanted to destroy a plane, they could just destroy a plane, right?
Yeah.
Like they could shoot a fucking missile at it and claim that, it got, birds sucked into the engine or whatever, right? Nobody's going to know what happened. So I think that they made it disappear. If this was possible, they would make it disappear and then like reappear over like, Area 51 or something like that, like some controlled airspace that they know where it's going to be showing up. And then they've got a couple of fucking, jets that show up beside it or something, They're like, all right, please, you're going to be landing now. Pull over before we destroy you.
Yeah. If it does work and it all checks out, I do legitimately would like to go do New Year's in Cambodia. And I just had to come out here to the garage and then press a couple of buttons. And then all of a sudden, I walk out of the garage and I'm over there.
Oh my God. That'd be the greatest, like basically a Stargate, but it's a teleporting pad, like Star Wars style or Star Trek style.
Yeah. It's an old idea. We've had that idea. I think the ancient people, they would go into caves. And the caves were the portals to other places. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the whole Stargate idea, right? Like you ever see those things where it looks like a door that's cut into rock, into a side of a mountain or something, but it just ends, it's just just a stone fucking door, like dead end door that goes into the stone. And people think under certain circumstances or whatever, then that door will open. It'll be an energy door you can just walk through or fucking whatever. Who knows?
I have heard that they some of the ancient ones are rites of passage as deprivation chamber.
Right.
You go in there, you fight your demons because I guess you lose your sense of sight.
Yeah, while you lose your sense of everything, right?
Yeah.
So you got no sight, you can't hear anything, and then you'll lose your sensation of touch. That's the most important, right? Because you're sitting in the salt water, and it makes it feel like nothing on you, and you're floating there. So it's you can't feel anything touching you, and you're completely lukewarm, so you kind of melt. You don't know where your body is in the salt, your mind starts to lose that, and the more that you kind of lose that connection, the more your mind just floats away because you're not connected to your body anymore, right?
Yeah
Yeah
saltwater caves.
Yeah, I bet that'd be pretty
They're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that idea came from somewhere, right?
Well, it makes me think of my grandfather being a Shriner,
Yeah.
and his group was called the Hindu Kush Grotto.
Yeah.
So, like, Hindu, an ancient Hindu down by the sea, like a grotto is like an underwater cave, right?
Yeah.
Putting all those together, like, fuck, what do they teach him? But I can't know unless I join.
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
that was when you said you went to the funeral.
Oh,
and-
yeah,
and
my
they wouldn't let
uncle's
you-
funeral.
Or they did let you in? Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, my uncle's Bob's funeral. That was Freemason.
So that was a Freemason, but so what? Who's the Shriner?
Oh, my grandfather, his
wow.
father.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because the Shriners are a level above the
Freemasons.
Freemasons,
Yeah.
right? Like they look kind of goofy, but it's like this, like
Kind of. Yeah. I think you have to be a 32nd degree because 33 is the secret level of Freemasonry.
yeah,
Right. So you get to 32 and officially they're like, oh, 32 is as high as it goes. 33 is an honorary degree that they only give to certain people.
yeah. My grandfather was a special dude.
Yeah. So 32, I think you can go, you're allowed to go into the Shriners.
Yeah, yeah. He was up there. He was very up there.
That's wild though. I mean, I always knew about them when I was a youngster,
Yeah,
but like, I never had never crossed my mind that they would have so much history to them. I just thought it was like a,
yeah. All I really knew is like sometimes going over to a kid's house and just like, what's that sword and what's that thing? Oh, it's for my dad's whatever. I don't know what.
and
it
they're
was-
always old white people too. Hey,
Yeah.
Like there's never any young blood in those organizations. They're always just old guys in
And-
fezzes.
and they'll always say, it's just a boys' club.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a rich old
Just a
white
boys' club. It is. What I think it was originally intended for, because I'm sure this was way more prevalent before, is like orphan kids.
Mhm.
They don't have fathers, so there's like
Yeah, that's true.
teach you how to shave and eat
Yeah.
and manage your money and all of that.
Oh, I wonder how much of that became prevalent during that whole time during the like Second World War and stuff when they were doing those orphan trains, sending the kids around.
Well, that the World War II propaganda movie, which I don't consider it propaganda, just a logic movie. Don't Be a Sucker.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite films.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's like a PSA
From back in the day.
from like the 40s,
Oh, okay.
like way back. And there,
We might have talked about this once.
probably because I love it so much. It was some guy standing on a soapbox in America saying blah 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 this and that, and this person's wrong and that person's wrong, and this guy's like, I wonder, and a Jewish teacher or a German teacher teaching him that's a bad thing. Here is why, and he was teaching about the Nazis, and said to him, like, how would you like it if, because of your beliefs, you were a part of that guy speaking on the soapbox, like you're a Freemason? And then the guy said it, like, Freemasons, they're bad. And he's holding his ring going, shit, that's just a fraternity I'm a part of. Like, these guys help me, they brush me up. Like, name one Freemason that looks like they don't have their shit together, right?
Yeah.
They all have their shit together.
Yeah.
So there's something in there that teaches you to have your shit together. So he's probably an orphan kid going, fuck, I'd be nothing without those guys.
Yeah. I don't know if it's so much they teach that you have your shit together, because I think a lot of them probably don't have their shit together, but it looks like they do, because I think that part of the fraternity is like helping each other succeed.
Yeah.
So, if you are like in the fraternity, I mean, you're already part of an elite little club. So it's like, oh, this guy's like, he owns restaurants in town, and this guy's whatever. You're at your meetings, and they're like, oh, hey, brother, Like if you want a job, I can get you. You can manage one of my places. Why not? You know, like
Yeah. It's probably playing the stock market.
well, I'm sure that's a big part of it too. I mean,
Yeah.
I could imagine if you were a Freemason, and you worked in a stock brokerage or whatever, you'd be there, you know, on your lodge nights, and everyone would be like, "Oh, do you have any hot tips?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, you bet, but don't tell anyone. It's insider trading." Cheers.
Yeah. What's the first rule about being a Freemason? Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah,
And once they instill that, okay, you're in, do this, this, okay, money's going to be okay.
yeah,
Just do that. Because that's another famous stereotype about the Knights Templar, which are the Freemasons, is they were the original bankers.
yeah,
They set up that whole system. They know it.
yeah, yeah. Right.
So if they're the originals, then the Freemasons, like by logic, the Freemasons should have like, okay, we set up the whole stock market to begin with.
Right.
You do this. Oh, okay. Regularly? Yes, every day. And then boom, boom. There
Yeah.
you go. Make sure you keep your job and be a part of society and
Yeah.
And as long as you follow this way, you fuck up, we know how to take it off.
Yeah, and then if anyone flashes the right signs and whatever, like you're supposed to get them out, get them out of jail and whatever.
Yeah.
If something comes up where you have an opportunity to help a brother, you're supposed to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I remember that famously about Manson, because he wasn't a Freemason, as far as I know. But he would flash Freemason symbols and stuff in court because he knew all about that. So when he was being tried, he was like flashing symbols and like saying some of the codes and stuff like that, like trying to like trigger, that that he could get off the hook.
Yeah. Aunts and uncles were laughing about like a way back story of when my grandfather wrapped a car around a tree. And he had been drinking, and somehow he talked himself out of it. Like the cops were there.
Somehow he talked himself out of it.
Yeah. But he was that kind of like, that's not to say he like went, yo, boys, look at this triangle in my finger,
No, they've got a code, like, basically. And I think it's part of being part of the group is like, I mean, they make you do all this stuff. You got to put on the gowns, and they lower the lights, and then you say all these like, things like, oh, if you ever reveal any of our secrets, you agree that your tongue shall be cut out and your eyes will be flayed, and whatever. And people are like, agreeing to this and like going through all this like weird rigmarole with candles and the hoods and all that.
Yeah.
So it's like you get sucked into a certain mindset, like you're part of the cult, right?
Yeah.
So even if it doesn't make sense to you, all of a sudden you start reasoning with certain things, right? And people are, giving you suggestions, and you kind of take it on, like, even though it's probably not, not in your best interest, maybe, but you're just doing it because you're part of the group now.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, okay, well, you did all the stuff now. So if anyone ever comes up to you and they say, are you a traveler? Then you reply, yes, I travel from east to west. And,
yeah.
And then the whole thing, right? Like, they've got a whole code, and then but you have to ask it a certain way, right? So I'm imagining if your grandpa was like in that situation, and then a cop shows up, and then he kind of he notices maybe his ring or something, that's a symbol, right? They see that, and then they're like, oh, are you a traveling man? Right? Then that's your code. If you can reply the correct way, then you get to the next level, right? Yes, I travel from east to west. And he's like, would you be there in the morning, or whatever the next line is, right? Guys got to keep going back and forth so they know that you're legit.
Yeah.
And then, oh, okay, you know what? We're gonna just say that yeah, this one's just a write-off here. Go ahead, get home.
He was also the chief union rep or superintendent for the crane union.
Your grandpa?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, how do you get that job?
Huh?
How do you get that job? Maybe he knew some people.
Yeah. and 2, 3 of my uncles were crane operators, like major crane operators. Like that was the family line.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, if you can stand heights. My father couldn't. I know I can't. I didn't go down that path.
No.
But I learned about it much too late. I probably would be like if I was younger.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It pays so well. That's the thing. Right?
oh yeah, amazing. But that was his job, was talking
Right.
and mediating and doing stuff like that. So he probably didn't even need to flash any symbols. Just like, guys, black dog. You know,
Mm-hmm.
very smooth talker. Yeah.
That's
But
cool.
was also a Shriner. So there's that large but in there.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing, right? Like, was he successful because he was a Shriner, or was he a Shriner because he was successful? Maybe, you know,
Right?
like
Chicken and egg.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to trace things back. But I mean, like you said, like I don't see any of those guys, doing too poorly, right? Like they might make poor decisions, like be a crackhead maybe on the side or whatever, but they're still functioning, they still they're a crackhead, but they're also a CEO of a fucking Fortune 500 company or something, right?
Yeah.
Like fucking look at Ford, right? He was he was the mayor of Toronto.
Well, yeah. And sometimes I think it takes some years. Like it depends how you do it. Some people I've seen with some people, if you go like really slow and gradual, then it makes a high functioning person, and then it bites later on, and just like everything falls like right apart. I had a very recent enlightenment story, not to steamroll over everything. We can talk about your story. Just 1 second. A fighter named Harold Howard. He's from Niagara Falls.
So is that his real name?
Yeah.
Sounds like a superhero.
I know. I know. I had to watch documentaries. The guy I go to karate with, he was talking about him, how he knew him. And then I watched a whole documentary how he was a gold medalist in his younger years. Gold medalist for Canada karate championship.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very, very strong, like incredible fighter. But he was bouncing in Niagara Falls and broke his back.
In a fight?
Yeah, bouncing.
Yeah.
Bouncing. So and after getting gold medals and stuff, that, that's kind of hard to take. And that was during the 80s. So in the 80s, if you got a back injury,
yeah,
Percocet all day long.
Yeah.
The doctors just handed out like candy in that time.
Yeah. Even worse than now.
Oh, yeah. So he was supposed to be out, and it was 1993 when UFC started up. And he was in UFC number 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the third one ever.
This guy.
Yeah, and it was such like an amazing fight. He was known as one of the most exciting or at least hilarious intros. Because back home we have a saying: if you're gonna come on, and then he takes off his sunglasses, he's like, "Come on." I was like, that's great. I loved it. I was eating it up every minute of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And his fight was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful fight. Executed like the form and everything was perfect.
He won?
He won. He won good. After that, like you can kind of see it even in his face. Like the pills took hold.
Right.
And if you remember a few years back about somebody driving their truck into Niagara Falls Casino.
I think so.
Yeah, that was him.
Okay. Just like right into the front door?
Right through the front glass doors.
Because?
The pickup truck. It took that long.
To react?
No, for the pills and the addiction and just like the longevity, the multiple punches to the head.
Oh.
Yeah.
He did it on purpose, though? It was a
psychosis. It was a conspiracy. His wife worked in the casino.
Okay, right.
And there's something with something, and I can't even remember the because it was all in his head, right?
Sure. Yeah.
He was promptly arrested,
Yeah.
and it was in jail that cleaned him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, set him
totally.
straight, and then they put him on the proper psychosis medication, and he's back to teaching.
Oh, that's nice. One of the few times that prison works, probably.
Yeah. The story ended on a high note.
Mhm.
I was quite happy about that. And then just like mentioning the name at karate class, and so, oh yeah, that guy. Like everybody's got a story. Like, oh, that's the personal connection. That's cool.
So where's this guy teach?
Niagara Falls.
Oh, he has got a school in
he's still-
Niagara Falls, hey?
Yeah, he's
Wow.
still
Very cool.
as far as I know, maybe not now. The documentary is from like 2018, 19. So, some years in between.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I hope he's doing well,
Mm-hmm.
because that first fight is like, you want someone to like end on a high note, for someone who did so well at one point in the beginning of UFC history.
Sure. And he's probably got some good tricks and whatnot, right? Like learned a few things over the years that he can pass on.
Super powerful punch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But then I heard about some of his training, and it was like all day crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like doing high kicks until you puke. Like, no, thank you. But
Yeah.
then again, if I want to be a good fighter, you got to do certain things.
Yeah. I mean, if I was planning to go into the ring and actually fight someone, then I would be doing that. That's all I'd be doing, is like jumping around, high kicking
Yeah.
until I puked and whatever, right? And just practicing all the things that made me, feel like I was going to be like the fucking badass guy, right?
Yeah. Jump
Knowing-
rope all day long.
Especially knowing in a UFC, right? Like you're getting some hard fucking hits, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. He was going up against a Muay Thai guy who would take like big rough things and smack him on his shins. So his shins were like extra like
sure. Rough.
beaten in, rough, maybe callous.
Yeah. I know I've seen like Muay Thai. I was gonna train Muay Thai when I was like in my youth, probably around like 20, 22, 20, 21, 22. I was gonna go to Thailand and live on the beach as part of this camp.
Oh yeah.
And you
Yeah.
pay $1,500 and you get I think it was like 8 weeks or something like that on a private little hut on the beach.
Mm.
And like every day they're like, you start at like 6 a.m, you run the beach, then you do this intensive workout and whatever. And they were showing the stuff that you do. And I was like, holy fuck, like you wear like a hot suit, like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fucking steam suit, and you got to run on the beach. And that's your wake up in the morning, like about an hour run, on the beach in a hot suit. And then you do that again at the end of the day to cap off the day. But like the practicing stuff, it was showing them like kicking like small trees.
Yeah.
That was their training, like just whack, whack,
Yeah.
just kicking these small trees. And then they were playing this game too, where they had like a soccer ball, but it was made out of like fucking bamboo. So like when they kick it and everything, it's like hard as a fucking rock or whatever, right? But they're kicking it around, trying to hit it knee to knee.
Yep.
And yeah, so like that's how they build up the fucking, their knees and shins and stuff. So they're like rock hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, the last karate class I had, there's a green belt that was previous judo,
Mhm.
or no, taekwondo. That's it. He was far along in taekwondo and then came over here to start over.
Mhm.
And so his feet are dangerous. Taekwondo is all kicking,
Right.
and I had like far too long sparring with him. And it was just like, are we done yet? And I had to like stop and like kneel on the ground of just like, I can't right now. Just give me a minute. Oh, okay. And then, okay, let's get back at her and back to fighting. Yeah. He doesn't go light. He goes like right at like
Yeah.
strong kicks.
Wow. So you got to be like blocking and
Yeah. I found out my hands are in my best interest. I don't need to think too much. They go up on their own.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good guys. They want to see me live. Yeah.
That's good. Your training is coming in handy.
Yeah, only I suck, because it's when you throw a punch and then the guy like jumps back to, and then you're like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? You're so far away. Like,
Do you guys do like gloves, or do you have wraps or
Gloves.
Gloves, hey? Like boxing gloves or
Yeah.
UFC gloves?
no, boxing gloves.
Oh, okay.
Boxing gloves.
So
and-
that'll slow your punches way down. Yeah.
yeah, and we have an understanding that it's just sparring, so I think he's keeping it he's not letting it loose like he could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, those bare knuckle boxing guys, like that's wild stuff.
I'll when it comes to punching bag, sometimes we generally don't take gloves off,
Right?
but it's taught that you shouldn't all the time. Like foot protection.
Right?
I got like ankle brace with like
Right?
pad on the top of the foot, so those bones are so like
Oh yeah.
so small, so breakable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you break them a couple times and they strengthen up, right?
I alternate.
Yeah.
I don't wear them all the time. I like them if we're doing a heavy kicking day, but
Yeah.
I don't want to wear them all the time to strengthen them up, to give some kicks.
I remember watching this like BBC series, and it was called Mind, Body, and Kick-Ass Moves.
Oh, yeah.
And it was about this martial arts expert who would travel the world and go to like every like supposed sensei, like the 5-finger death touch, and like
Oh,
all
yeah.
these guys who taught those methods, and like
Yep.
see if they were like kind of full of shit or what. And there was a couple of them that turned out to be like actually kind of fucking legit, right? Like one of them was like one of the faker ones was one of those guys who like they come running at you, and like when they grab at you and whatever, they fall down, and he can go through like 15 guys, or he just like pushes his shoulder at them and they kind of go flying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That like fake kung fu. So he kind of did some stuff with those guys, and he was like he did say he kind of noticed like there was like an aura, or he felt like they were kind of giving off some kind of aura where he attacked them and he felt hesitant, like he was like, I was like going in to punch the guy, and I was hesitant, like almost like a flash of scared, of doing it. And he's like, it made me hesitate, he's like, I don't know if that's just me, or if that's what the guy said he was trying to project, was like this like fear in you, and then that's when they make their strike or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But anyways, then there was a couple real ones where like there was this I think it was a Chinese guy who had mastered a technique of sucking his testicles into his body. So like
What?
so that he would just stand there and fucking like, and he's like, go ahead, and fucking boom, they're just kicking him between the fucking legs, and he's just standing there, and then fucking they thought maybe he was faking it, and then so he was like, go, he put his hand down there, and he was like, oh my god, his whole fucking everything is sucked up in his body.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Whoa.
You can train yourself to do that.
That is pretty fucking handy.
Yeah.
Like it. Yeah. Like, yo, if they said like, okay, normally your balls like to hang, just let them hang. But if you flex really hard, you can put them back up in your body so they're protected by large bones.
Yeah. Now
that sounds good.
It's cool, but at the same time, I mean, when would you ever have a chance to use that? I mean, you get ambushed by some guys in an alley. You can't tell them like, I need 30 seconds to suck my testicles up. Like they're gonna just like kick you and fucking get you before you can, So
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that like it's pretty wild that you can do it, but I don't see any time that would be handy.
Yeah.
Like unless you're gonna be playing soccer or something, and
but if there's a moment, like I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah.
Just that one. Fuck. If I only did that training,
Yeah.
I'd know how to do it.
And then so he also checked out the guys who like they do these things, like kind of like the guys who lay on beds of nails.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they do this training where they like fucking smash bottles on the ground and just walk across the bottles, and then they like jump up, like kind of doing pyrometrics. like jumping on blocks, but the blocks are like fucking nails. So they like jump up onto the block and then they jump down onto a bed of nails and then they walk across glass and then like over to a fire pit and fuck like all this kind of stuff. And so these guys were claiming that they were summoning jinn, and that's how they were protecting themselves. So they do a ceremony before they get started. They're like lighting these incense and then they like ask the jinn to enter the body, and then they like do these like superhuman feats, and then they leaves their body apparently.
Well, I would say myself that they probably were doing that for thousands of years. So they had time to like work out, like they jumped down steps on nails, right? I'm sure there are multiple nails. And they started with one, and the guy's like, okay, one doesn't work. Let's try two. Two doesn't work. Oh, you could jump down on three. Okay, well, that looks cool on three. Maybe we'll add four just in case. We don't want to hurt.
Right. Well, no, these were like beds of nails, right? So it's like 50 nails on a bed or whatever, right? So that I feel like that's kind of more helpful, right?
Yeah.
Stepping on. I mean, like it probably still hurts.
It hurts, but like if you spend that one like second, it looks impressive, but it's not. Same with hot coals.
Yeah.
Like you can put yourself on fire, like in hot coals for a second, and it may hurt.
Well, could you walk across hot coals?
I think there's like a thing to it where you can. It depends on the coals.
I think you can,
and it depends on your walking.
I heard a friend I had talked to about going to a Tony Robbins event. And she had told me, she's like, oh yeah, like I went to this Tony Robbins event and they like, had this thing about trusting yourself or whatever. And she's like, and then at the event they had these hot coals and like we took turns fucking running across these coals. Like she's like, I actually did it, like this bed of fire. And she's like, they were hot, but like I did it. Like I went all across, didn't burn my feet,
Yeah.
It was like a you can do it kind of thing, right? But you're probably right. It's probably like a certain type of coals, and like I mean, you're going fast enough, so
yeah, yeah, probably the same like we were talking about last week with radiation, or the week whatever. That like hot coals, they will burn you. They'll fuck your shit up, but like if you walk across them real fast, like it's okay,
right?
Not great. Don't do it all the time, but like, every once in a while for a thrill.
Yeah.
People have proven you can do it. But there's also some like, like when they do it in Hawaii for their like ceremonies and stuff, they use a lot of their lava rocks.
Right.
And they're heat resistant. Like they're cool on the one side, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
special ones.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
like a magic trick almost, right?
Pretty much.
There was another guy who his whole technique was breaking his hands. Right? So they were called like the stone hand, group or whatever. I don't know, I forget, sensei, the stone hand sensei or whatever, but like he had these like, pretty thick looking fucking hands, and their whole thing was like making a fist and then like slamming it down onto a fucking brick, and it would like break a bunch of the bones around it, and then you heal it back up, and then you go back out there and you fucking break them again, and then you let them heal up. And like they've just been doing that for years, and he's like, like looking at his knuckles were just like fucking built right, and he's like swinging them around and like hitting blocks and stuff, and it was just like a brick.
Yeah.
And then he showed this one of his techniques. So he took his hand, and he's just showing the guys like, this is just a regular technique you can use, right? So he like takes his hand, makes a strong fist, and then starts doing a really fast windmill, like just over and over and over again for a good like 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
And it gets all the blood shot to the end of your hand. And then he's like, now feel it. And he like fucking swings his hand, and he's like, holy fuck. Like, he's like, my punch went from like a registering a fucking 700 to like a 900 or something, you know, like it just all of a sudden felt like way denser and stronger because it had all that blood, you know.
Huh.
Yeah. So you like before a fight or whatever, you could like swing your arms around windmill style, kind of get them all like fucking
It
hardened up a bit, and then they'll do a little more damage.
it does happen on its own.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're swinging around
Yeah.
and whatever, right? But if you actually spent the time to get it going, right? Like, it was
Yeah.
a noticeable difference.
I find my face, my hands, everything goes just pitch red when I'm fighting, because I'm going to my max. I'm
Right.
gassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm paying for, right? I'm not paying to like just like limp wrist it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go to my maximum and then surpass that
Yeah.
Bruce Lee style.
Yeah. It'd be cool to like, you know, maybe incorporate something else in there after you get a little karate, then move on and do like Hapkido or something, you know, like I
Yeah.
always wanted to get into that because I thought it was really cool. Their examples they would do. And like, there were like a lot of that, like, you know, wrist locks and fucking, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like you grab somewhere and they would show you like you know like you grab at their hand and then you just fucking twist their thumb and you know their wrist in a certain way and then that throws them completely off balance and then you know you can strike and he's showing you all these things, you know.
yeah. Well, we do that in my class, a little bit of that.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
Wrist locks and how to do it, and we'll do it slowly with people, and then
Right.
like, okay, now you do like show how your natural, what you would naturally do works, doesn't work,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Is that the ones where you don't like twist their wrists around and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
When you stick your thumb, make sure it's between this knuckle and this knuckle, you know, like try it, make sure you like, we'll do it 2, 3, 4 times, make sure the thumb
Right.
lands in the right spot.
Yeah.
You know, turn it like this, all the different steps. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But did you see any cool like news stories, or like were you seeing any?
Just in general, you mean?
No, you were coming with a story.
Yeah, I did actually. I think is my phone connected to that? Let's see here, because I did.
Okay, yeah,
did
you need
record a
to
video.
connect your phone to it.
Yeah, okay, one sec. Roadcaster, there you are.
I'll make sure I'll boost the volume on there.
Okay, connecting. Taking a sec. It appears to be having problems.
Speaking of conditioning your hands, I had to do push-ups with the gloves on.
Oh yeah.
And after doing that, I swear I felt like each finger like separated a little more.
Oh,
There was something about it. It was like, do a push-up. We had to do it in front of heavy bags.
okay.
Push up and then punch with the one hand. Push up and then punch with the other hand. And the weight distribution, I guess, was just like, just kind of like separating my fingers a little more, the knuckles.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I really felt that the next day. That's where the pain throb was coming from.
Oh.
Widening out my hands into clubs.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so you know what? It was just random. I came across this clip about the Black Eye Club.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was just somebody kind of doing a more succinct description of things and a couple of pictures involved. But
The panda bears.
yeah. This I don't know who made this, but I watched this on Mod Tricka on his YouTube stream.
I like the name.
Yeah. He's a aggregator.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
So it's always videos like him watching, stuff that he finds on TikTok and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, then he does like a little he mentioned about something like that kind of shit's freaky, man.
Kind of like how we have our own aggregators, just and as the news keeps on jumbling, like,
Yeah.
where does all the gold land? To us, this is our gold.
Sifted through, yeah.
Yeah.
Sift through a bit of shit sometimes to find the nuggets. All right.
I
Let me
love it.
crank this Let's see how it goes here. All right.
Most famous people have
Ooh.
in common. It is said that the elite
too loud.
surpassed the 29th Masonic rank, are selected to undergo an initiation ritual
All
in
right.
which
My
they have
grandpa.
to choose between the
Over the
cross
29.
or evil to rise in rank. The key to understanding all of this might lie in an ancient manuscript, the Copiale cipher. This encrypted text, containing over 75,000 characters, remained hidden for centuries. It wasn't until 2011 that it was finally deciphered, revealing the steps of an...
The candidate is brought before a table with candles, lenses, and a microscope. They were given a blank piece of paper and asked to read it. When they inevitably said they couldn't, a pair of lenses was placed on them, and they were asked again. Finally, the master of the ritual dipped a cloth in water and washed the candidate's eyes.
After this, the initiate was subjected to an eye intervention within a circle of order members, and they always justify it by saying it was a fall or a cosmetic surgery. Is not it funny?
Not too long ago, we covered the clip
Adam
of Donald Marshall
Sandler?
claiming that the black
Yeah.
eye comes from the real reptilian parasite getting inserted in your eye, and then it wraps itself around the optic nerve, basically completely taking over your brain function. So maybe that's the eye intervention part of the ritual. Either way, count me out.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, I've heard that before too. So they think that this is a popular kind of theory, is that the elite are actually a parasite, like a literal parasite,
Oh,
and like some of them, I think their idea was that like medieval knights, like in the suits of armor and stuff like that, like they were basically designed to like be really, really, really hard to get out of, and like not even be able to see, like like the way that the visors were built and stuff like that, and then like even going to the bathroom and stuff like that, it was just like it was an impossible situation. Like it basically is just like whoever was in those things couldn't have worked like a functioning human, it seems.
yeah.
So these people's theory is that like underneath that metal thing, that's why it was so fucking blocked and everything, is because there was like some like parasite type people who were underneath that, basically, like giant worm people almost, or something. So the idea here is on a more realistic level is that when you're in these initiations, they have this like parasite that is an alien being, basically, and they drop it in your eye, and it goes inside your tear duct and then wraps around your optic nerve. And then, it feeds on serotonin or something like that, like something, or your pineal gland or something. But you giving over to that is like you being accepted in the club. And like now that's why they always have those pictures of them covering their eye and stuff like that. The one eye, it means like they're on like, level 1 or level 2 of the initiation. Like they're almost in the club,
Oh yeah, the beyond the Freemason kind of thing.
Yeah, they're like Renfields. They're all at Renfield status. They're all helping the vampire, kind of like, and they're hoping for their chance. So that, they're throwing out their symbols and doing all that stuff. Means they're kind of in the club, but they're not up there yet.
Huh. So now I would need my arms and legs held down if something's putting in my tear duct that willed its way into my eye.
Yeah, right.
That's a horrifying thought. I don't want.
So the other option would be that as part of this ceremony, you get in there and then somebody basically punches you as part of the ceremony. So like, it's like a humbling kind of thing. Like you're, a famous person or a powerful person, a president or whatever. And here you are standing before these people, possibly naked or something, so that you're like shameful. And then they like, maybe beat you or something like that. And then it ends with a punch to the eye or something like that, because it always seems to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
With all these people. Every time they show these clips, Sharon Stone and like, who else was there? Jay Leno. He was walking around with an eye patch. And that's part of the thing too, is that people claim is that when they have these black eyes, it's like they're always popping up in public. You know, you'd think, oh, okay, I got a black eye. It's time to hide out for a little bit. But right while it's fresh and shiny, they always go out and they're spotted on the street just randomly by people. Oh, what happened to your eye, Jay Leno? Like, oh yeah, I fell down the stairs.
Mm.
You know, and they got a story like Sharon Stone had hers, and she was like, oh yeah, she was really excited about it. That's the thing. She was like really happy and excited, and she's like, oh, I came out and I slipped and I smashed my face off of a tile, and you know, like it's a weird. Why isn't your nose broken? Right? How did you hit your eye on a tile? Like,
Yeah.
perfectly a black eye, right?
Yeah. Well, so being initiated into a group for what though? Like, so we kind of touched upon Freemasons for the financial security,
Right.
like, and
Well, financial and I mean, networking, right? I mean, it's a power thing. That's another thing, right? I mean, how great is it when it's like you go, yeah, I mean, you're, say your grandpa or something, you know, he's just a regular Joe, but then he goes to, you know, a fancy restaurant or something like that. And the guy comes, oh, hey, Joey, hey, come here. Let me shake your hand. And you know, all of a sudden it's like, wow, this guy is just a plumber and somehow shaking
Yeah.
hands with the owner here, you know, like what's going on? Let me get you the best seat in the house. Come here.
yeah, something that makes you a little more than everybody else.
Right. It's a power thing. It's
Inconvenience.
and one of the most important things, I mean, as I said, you know, about like kind of keeping everyone involved in the cult aspect, right? It's an idea of a mystery, like the Hermetic principle back in the day, like, you know, Hermes, the original kind of occultist, I would say. He said that basically man can't resist a mystery.
Mm.
You know, man,
Yep.
you know, you have a box and, you know, they got to know what's in that box, right? It's
Yeah.
a classic thing. It's a classic trope, right? Like our curiosity is something that like, you know, gets the best of us sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, we do kind of draw lines. Well, yes, no, we don't. See, okay. This is leading me into the other thing I want to talk about because it has a Canadian connection. Cloning,
Yeah, I heard about the dire wolves.
right?
Yeah.
So cloning's a bit. We've already cloned a sheep. That's old news, right? Dolly the sheep
Yeah.
was
Wasn't that
cloned
in the 90s?
a long time ago.
Yeah. If it wasn't the 90s, it was like early 2000.
Have you seen a picture of Shania Twain lately?
No,
No?
I haven't.
So let me just
I saw her tribute act, Shania Twin.
let me
Wow.
that's her at age 60,
Wow. Not bad. Tell me she's not a vampire, right?
right? So what happened?
She looks younger than she's ever been.
Like
Huh.
there are pictures where that's the same woman
Right.
aging normally, and then boom,
Yeah.
back to her 20, by like completely different person.
Yeah.
So
She was married to a very famous, powerful person too. Like, not famous, sorry, but powerful, like famous record executive. I don't know that he was famous. I keep saying famous, but he was
Yeah.
a very powerful record executive. And or maybe that wasn't her. I don't know if that was her. I think that might have been her, but I know it was maybe I'm getting her mixed up with who else was it that was marrying her guy? Celine Dion. I think maybe I'm getting her mixed up with her because I
Yeah,
know she married
she
her
did.
manager.
she did marry her manager, but like they stayed married until his death.
Yeah.
And
So maybe I'm wrong. I thought maybe she had married a famous, I keep saying famous, but like a fucking, record producer.
it's still weird. I don't think she even had the kind of money to, like, let's say that's just run-of-the-mill plastic surgery. This isn't something weird. Like I'm trying to make a conspiracy theory out of it.
Usually plastic surgery, honestly, I mean,
that.
well, yeah, normally you kind of have hints. I mean, I've seen some famous people, I mean, like look at Courtney Cox. You know,
Yeah.
like you can tell she's had some work done, right? And like Renee Zellweger, you know, like she looks like she's had some work done.
The Osborne family.
They just, you see them and they look like their face is puffy and, you know, because
Yeah.
they're getting Botox and these things, right? But she looks completely natural. Like that doesn't look like any hint of like tucking or sucking or anything there. So
Yeah.
she could just have good genes,
A realistic,
or she's bathing in blood,
or it's a whole new person.
right? Kind of like we were talking about before.
She, like, the real her is at home.
But could it be her, or would that be a different person? I mean, if it's complete new rebuilding, right? And even if there's the original elsewhere, could that be even could a clone be a second person?
Well, they say that about Avril Lavigne,
That she's a clone?
that she's a clone, or she was replaced with a whole other person. That she actually died quite a while ago,
Interesting.
and they didn't. Well, here's a side by side of teenager versus now.
Okay. Well, I mean, she
Kinda.
she had that fucking face already. I mean, when she came out, I was like, oh wow, like this looks like a 14-year-old girl. And people are like, no, she's like 21. So now she's probably like 40 and she looks like she's like 30 or 29, you know? So
It kind of looks like a different person. So
but if it was a clone, it would be an exact copy.
So the cloning, here's the website
Uh-huh.
for the company called Clonaid.
Okay.
Okay. Clonaid is the first human cloning company in the world. It was founded in February 1997 by Rail and a group of investors who created the Valiant Venture Limited Corporation based in the Bahamas. In the first couple of years, Clonaid has already received enormous media coverage. However, due to pressure mounted on the Bahama government by French journalists, Valiant Venture was canceled as government representatives were thinking the laboratories would be established in the Bahama Islands. Meanwhile, list of blah, 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 blah. It goes on, but it was founded by Rail.
Okay. Who's Rail?
Rail is a cult leader. He believes he is.
Oh, it's a person? I thought it was
it's
a company.
person. Rail is a person that is a go-between between the gray aliens and us.
Oh, okay.
And they're giving him secrets. And this came from the Quebec.
Okay.
So he was encountering the Greys in Quebec and bringing that. And one of the big players in his cult was a brilliant scientist from McGill, from Quebec. And she had big cloning or biology background. And they were cloning people. They claimed that they did clone a person, a girl named Eve, but they won't show her. So they were saying, oh, these guys are just faking.
Right.
But they were kicked out of Quebec, and that's why they're in Bahamas. And this guy, he's a creepy, shady dude. And it seems like cult top to bottom, but they had this extra cloning element where they were ending up in the news. I remember them in the news from back then, and I was following it in the newspapers because I was a weird kid. But like I remember it quite well. This is why it's forefront in my mind. There is a rapper out that goes by the name Kid Buu.
Okay. I wonder if that's based off of Dragon Ball Z.
It is.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Totally.
So there's a picture of him. And it says here, personal life, which is very, very short. In 2019, Santiago, which is his real name, was convicted child abuse charges. So he's an upstanding individual.
Oh, yeah.
Following a domestic dispute with his then girlfriend. Okay. San Diego is a Raelian and claims that he is a clone. Yeah. This guy from New Jersey.
claims that he is the clone.
He has a clone,
Right.
and he also calls himself Aurelian, a part of the cult.
That sounds familiar. I think maybe it's your pronunciation. I'm thinking. I thought I heard that before, like Raelians or something.
Aurelian,
Like that.
yeah. Oh yeah, my pronunciation. I got a terrible mouth. Yeah.
How old are they? From the 90s? Or they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the 80s, 90s when Rail was meeting the Greys
Right.
and getting the communications.
See, so when the Project Bluebeam happens, those are the kind of guys who are going to like have a flood of influx of customers, because they're going to be like, oh, like we've been lied to, and this guy's been talking about the truth for so long, even if he was off by however much, right? Like people aren't going to know what to think. They're going to be jumping on bandwagons all over the place.
Well, when I was following that path about the clones and Kid Buu and Clonade, and they were throwing Shania Twain and Avril Lavigne in that mix, the number one was Kanye.
Oh, that he got cloned?
Yeah, not just cloned. They said the first two were great. Third one was this fourth one, holy shit. And it's like, whoa. That, if that's true,
Mhm.
that makes everything track just like a little better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They keep on he kept on copying himself, and by the time he got to the fourth one, it's all mangled.
Yeah. I
Maybe.
think I'm more inclined to the MK Ultra side of things. I don't know if you've heard any of this stuff Candace Owens has been doing about lately, but she's been talking about, she's like kind of friends with what's his face there, Kanye.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
They talk and stuff, like on text and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, he's got this trainer who is named like his last name is Pasternak.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you know that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy, he's a nutritionist or something, but he also went to the University of Toronto or something like that, or Ottawa, something, or maybe even McGill. But like he's connected to basically an MK Ultra program, because
his father was the director of the mental hospital in near Montreal,
right,
called the Allen.
Okay, yeah.
The Allen was used by the US CIA. So the CIA had their MK Ultra
right
out of California, where they were like spiking acid in people's highball drinks.
Right. That's where they were doing the testing, but the R&D research for it was being done at McGill.
Correct.
Yeah.
The real hard stuff. Can we erase someone's brain? How do we scramble someone's brain? And this was like putting on headphones of tracks that played over and over again on loop. Copious amounts of LSD, blindfold, and you're strapped to your bed.
Yeah.
And it's like days.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe, who knows, maybe even taping your eyelids up and making you watch stuff, like Clockwork Orange style,
where they keep on injecting more and more LSD into your IV drip.
Yeah.
Fucking shit, eh?
Like, yeah, you can take a lot of that shit, right? Like, you don't really OD on it. It just gets more and more intense, and it's just like, it could probably fuck you up pretty good. Well, so anyway, so like we were saying about Kanye, right?
Yeah.
Like, he basically, was talking some shit about stuff, and then all of a sudden, this trainer guy, Pasternak, who's like just his trainer, somehow managed to say that because he, made some comments about something, that he was insane, and managed to get him put into a hospital based off his comments, even though he's just his fucking trainer. And then, he went through that bit where he, everyone's like, oh, Kanye's crazy, right? Like, he saw him in like a hospital gown in the street or something like that. And like, he was apparently going crazy. And he was showing Candace these texts that he got from this fucking Pasternak guy. And it said things like, oh, like, if you keep talking out a line like that, you're going to end up back, back in the hospital. Like I did it before, I could do it again, and you'll be so drugged out. Play dates with the kids just won't be the same. That's what his
Yeah.
text message said to like.
Did he learn from his father from the MK Ultra in the mental hospital, a secret concoction that he used on Kanye?
Well,
I
don't know
think
that
so.
I don't know that it's maybe it is. It could be a secret concoction. I feel like it's just a matter of you just have to find some way to drug them and make them seem crazy, right? Like I mean, say I had this coffee here, you somehow put some drops of DMT in it or something,
Yeah.
and then maybe some speed or a cocktail of something. So I got really hyped up and paranoid, but I'm also hallucinating. And then all of a sudden I'm acting crazy. People are going to be like, "Oh, well, he's got to go to the hospital. He's off his rockers. He's just snapped all of a sudden," right?
Yeah.
Like you would, if you didn't know that anyone had spiked his shit, right? You just assume he's having a mental break. You'd have no other choice, right? No, I hear the ghosts. They're talking, right? Be like, okay, we're going to just get you to the hospital, see what's up. And then once they're there, like, oh, he's having a break. We got to get him in a room or something. And then all it needs is one expert to come in and be like, oh, he's got to go into a psychiatric ward. He might be a danger to himself. What if he hang himself or something, Then all of a sudden, Michael Jackson type or a Prince type goes dead, shows up dead.
Yeah. But Prince was unfortunate. Michael Jackson was kind of the same. Could have been murdered.
Yeah, they both had a lot of troubles with record labels trying to steal their stuff, right? That was the battles their entire life with fucking rich, rich fucking executives. And we know, when money's up, those guys will do anything basically. Or it seems like, look at Boeing, all these like guys that started disappearing there, and they're just a fucking plane company, Can just imagine if you were a record producer and not only do you have millions and billions of dollars on the line with your label, but you've also got the prestige that comes with it, right? Like when you walk in, fucking that singer, she's like, oh, if I suck his dick, I'll fucking shoot to the top of the charts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. I had a train of thought and I totally loved it. But I do believe that Kanye was drugged with a secret concoction. Like I just, it makes too much sense. Too many Canadians are coming out because
I just don't buy the clone thing especially on his side, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. Like if you have a clone, how do you make a clone the same age as you?
That's the thing, right? Like I would think, okay, you could clone. Like I think in the case with Dolly too. I mean, when it grew up, it came out as a baby and it was an exact copy, like an exact duplicate of the sheep, but it was just a baby, and then it had to grow up and to be, like then
But-
she, the original would have been, 9 years old, and then the copy would have been 2 years old, same size, looked exactly the same, but an age difference, right?
Yeah, I think you'll still find that environment plays an even bigger role than we tend to give it credit for. Like you can make an exact copy of a person, but at the period of time plus just how they live their life. Like without my mother, I'm a copy of my father, right? So I'm not doing the exact same stuff as him. My voice is a little different because of the things I've learned.
True enough.
Yeah. It was listing. I was reading the website. Why would you want to clone yourself? And some of the reasons would be, because you're about to go, and maybe your wife wants to raise a clone.
Right.
Isn't that a little? Could you do that?
Well, I mean, they clone dogs and stuff, right? Pets. There's companies that clone pets and stuff.
Even that one. Like I don't. That'd probably creep me out.
You know what? Can we take a quick break?
Yeah, I would love a quick break. Actually.
Okay.
Okay.
We're on a musical interlude.
I'll go in ahead.
And we're back.
I do love that the mixer does that.
Yeah, that is handy. Oh man, next time I'm gonna have to throw on the heater. It's still
I
does
know.
not- I was wearing the shorts. I thought that I was still in mode that we're sitting in your house instead of the shed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, and then the next time will be just beautiful, right?
Yeah,
Like
of
we're on the
course.
cusp.
Of course, yeah. I know. We're just waiting. Like today, it was freezing in the morning, and nice and warm in the afternoon. Now it's freezing again at night.
Yeah. And then I was like, I'll put on the summer tires. I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow's supposed to rain. I really gotta get those summer tires on.
Oh, side note, did you hear the other day like a random loud noise that was going on?
No.
No, they're down in our area. Like I got off work and it sounded like, like when a jet is flying right over your head,
Really?
like that sound, like, and it's loud and then it goes away, right? Like
I
it's
think I've
passing
heard them
over.
before. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
anyways, it sounded like a jet was like overhead, but it wasn't moving.
Huh.
Yeah, it was like right over our head, and it was like, this like sounded like a plane going, and it went on for about 2 hours.
Wonder what it could be.
I have no idea. And it's, every once in a while I hear about those mystery sounds and stuff. People are like, what the hell is this sound? And you hear like it sounds like metallic squanking in the background,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this was very similar. But I was like, wow, we've got our own mystery fucking sound. Cause I was like down at my job site. And I'm like, we've got lots of big stuff, like machines and, loud fucking clanging of beams and shit. And none of that is that loud. So I'm like, I don't know what fucking kind of work you're doing where it's that loud.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't sound like it was like, far away in the industrial section or anything where maybe they're running some kind of fucking, hydro hose that's making a bunch of noise or something. It sounded like it was right over our head.
Where? Weird.
Yeah. My wife even texted me. I was at work and she was like, do you hear this sound? What is this fucking sound? I was like, I don't hear anything. Then I went home for lunch and it was like,
blue sky coming back down.
Yeah.
Here comes Katy Perry.
Yeah, right. Fucking Katy Perry.
Yeah.
The whole cosmonauts, eh?
I heard someone say, and I was like, the pod. Have you seen the pod?
No.
No, you haven't seen the Blue Sky pod?
Is that what they went up in?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like it's like the rocket. It makes the rocket look even more like a penis.
Is it a Blue Sky? Is that Bezos?
Yeah, that's Bezos.
Okay, and he
So-
sent fucking William Shatner up too a little while ago, didn't he?
Right. So you remember what that looks like, right? It's like
No.
windows all the way around.
No, I never really looked at it.
Katy Perry in the
Space Tell,
So
tell AI, make me a picture of Katy Perry in space.
no, it's not really showing pictures, but it's these big windows all around, and they're like looking out at the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, if you're in outer space and you're looking out a window like that big, like, wouldn't the sun cook you?
I don't know.
Like, but we also like, okay,
I
so
don't know.
our car windshields are UV protectant.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like hindered in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'd be more like worried about the pressures of space, right?
Yeah, because such a small pod.
Yeah. I don't know how that compares to like going like in the ocean when you've got all that pressure. Maybe it's like I guess it's a vacuum in space, so it's pulling on you instead of trying to crush you.
Well, so what we mentioned about radiation, walking on coals, and all of those things, is space the same kind of thing? Like, it's no big deal. Like,
Could
yeah,
be.
space sucks, but like, you can like deal with it for like a little bit.
Imagine you could breathe.
Yeah, for just like a little bit.
No, just like it's just like full oxygen. It's just no gravity. Just like
Yeah.
your mask comes off and you're like, you take a breath finally, and you're like, oh my god,
yeah,
I'm breathing here. I'm just floating through space.
but you freeze instantly. Or if you are in direct sunlight, you cook.
Yeah. So what does that mean? Those suits are heated? I doubt they're heated.
Yeah. No, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dual.
Mm.
Their suits have hoses all through them, and they can control they control the temperature.
Mm.
Yeah. Plus, the outside has a whole bunch of shielding.
Right.
And this is what was fucking me up about those windows on the Blue Pod.
Right.
Astronaut shielding is gold plated because that's the only thing that can deal with the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so what's these large windows for?
Yeah. Gold dust.
Or were they lying to us about the astronauts' face shields needing to be gold plated?
Probably. Yeah. You'll catch them in all kinds of fucking back and forth. That's why no one's ever that's why NASA stands for never a straight answer.
Oh yeah. and then now they got like women from The View and Katy Perry like going up and doing space rides.
Yeah. Oh no, they were doing an important thing. I heard them like doing an interview about it. One of the girls from The View, and they're like, "What do you say to people who say women can't do it?" And she's like, we're doing the same thing that the men are doing. And she's like, we were actually doing some important experiments up there that are gonna help us figure out how people can grow crops in space. And like they were up there for a total of 11 minutes, I think. So he's like, basically they would have had like 3 minutes of ascent, and then 3 minutes of descent, and 7 minutes in the air or whatever. So he's like, basically they had about 4 minutes to conduct some sort of experiment. So he's like, I don't know how crucial your experiment was.
Well, the Oprah's friend was saying, oh, they're going to throw all of our garbage out in space. We're doing good things. Like, that's a terrible idea.
I don't know. I never understood why they couldn't just throw it all at the sun. But I guess it was because they just can't get it off. Like it's too expensive to get it into a rocket.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could throw it into the sun. That would be the ultimate.
Or the moon.
Well, the moon would just sit there. At least in the sun, it's going to vaporize it before it even touches it, right?
Yeah, but nothing's really going on with the moon.
Yeah.
There's no air. You can't breathe. It's just dust.
Yeah, but who knows what all that trash could do to it? I mean, it might fuck up the orbit or something. Who knows?
I highly doubt that. I think it would
I
be
mean, as
safe.
it got more and more full and full of trash, if you kept filling it, it was like all of a sudden a garbage planet. Like,
Well, I'd say irradiate it.
plus, then if something hit it, like say, because it's got really low gravity, so say like a fucking little mini meteor hit it, and like didn't really hurt it that much, but like everything that was on the surface would just like all that trash would come off like mini missiles toward the earth.
Garbage rain.
Garbage rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it all catches on fire, so it's like extra shitty.
Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be so gross. Imagine like all of a sudden like diapers are full. Ugh. So gross.
Flaming diapers falling from the sky.
That's my new punk band, the Flaming Diapers.
Oh, I love it.
All right, so I got a new one here. I was saving this one for you. So you might get a kick out of this one, but
Let's make sure the Bluetooth is nice and loud.
well, it's not a video. Well, it is a video, but
Yeah.
first we'll start off by just mentioning it. But so this is in the vein of the Black Eye Club, but they're called the Red Shoe Club.
Oh,
Have you ever heard of them?
no. This is starting to sound like the movie The Warriors.
Yeah, the Baseball Furies are next.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the Black Eye Club, the Red Shoe Club.
Yeah.
Black eyes, red shoes.
Now, you can imagine all the symbolism with red shoes, right? Like throughout Hollywood and whatnot, right? Like Wizard of Oz and like, McDonald's and, lots of different characters and whatnot wearing red shoes. So there's an inordinate amount of pictures on the internet from people like Tom Hanks and, presidents and random people all wearing bright red shoes.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are they all wearing these red shoes, right? So
Not Tom Hanks.
not Tom Hanks. All right. So this is a story. Well, I guess first I'll explain the club. So the Red Shoe Club is apparently a certain cobbler, like a person who's a certain cobbler who makes shoes specifically for the Pope.
Oh.
But people who are in these satanic groups use this cobbler so that when they commit a sacrifice to like basically get into the club, they have to like kill a child, I think is part of the ritual.
Oh, okay.
And so when they do, they use that skin to make these shoes.
That's some next level horror movie kind of shit.
Yeah. So there's these news reports of a guy who, just to prove that it's a real thing, but you can find these news reports from like I think it was like the 50s or something like that, of this guy who claimed to wear his shoes from Negroes from his farm or something like that. And he said that like humans made the finest leather for shoes. And there was a news story about like this guy's wearing, like Negro shoes. Like they couldn't believe that this guy's wearing fucking human skin shoes. And he said like they're the finest, like they last a long time and like they feel really nice and soft. And yeah, so like it's the whole thing. So anyways, this is the story that Macaulay Culkin was doing a interview on a French radio station.
Yeah, he loves France.
Yeah, well, he lives there.
Yeah.
And so anyways, he was doing this radio interview with them, and he told the person there this story about something that relates to it. So I thought I would play this clip. All right, hold on.
Entertainment industry elite to reveal that Hollywood studio executives are bloodthirsty Satanists who ritualistically murder child actors. The Home Alone star has exposed movie business execs as satanic pedophiles who ritually abuse children in the industry. He claims he only got out alive because he was a smart and suspicious kid who got too famous to be killed like some of the other kids. He says, quote, "You learn very early to recognize which of them want to abuse you and which of them have even darker tastes," he said, explaining that the worst of them wear shoes made of the skin of children that they ritually murdered. Macaulay Culkin dropped the huge truth bomb during a radio interview in Paris, France. He said, "Have you seen leather products made from human skin? It has a very unusual, distinctive look. I learned at a very young age to identify it." The news was picked up by French media, with mainstream French newspapers quickly reporting on the explosive interview. However, within an hour of publication, all reports began to disappear, with previously published articles suddenly being scrubbed from the internet. French news outlet Les Echos deleted their entire article shortly after it started to go viral, but has not responded to questions regarding why they removed it within an hour of publication and if they were pressured to do so. Children in the entertainment industry learn very early to recognize which of them want to abuse you and which of them have even darker tastes, explaining that some of them, Hollywood executives, wear skin trophies, explaining that he was 11 the first time he saw.
All right, you're showing me a bunch of old guys wearing red shoes that look suspiciously leather-like.
When he was
I'm pretty sure that's
ushered into a
Tony
back
Podesta,
room on the set.
the guy from
There was a guy
Pizzagate.
in there, a powerful executive suit type. You know what I mean? He said, "He tried to make me relax by giving me a can of Coke.
Okay, this is the
Started
story.
telling me about the nature of the industry. Basically, he wanted me to cut my parents out. He wanted to be my guardian. He said he would make me into the biggest teen star in history. He said I had it all, but that I had to get rid of my parents." I was like, "Dude, I'm 11. And he said, "You're a man now." Culkin, who has been living in Paris, France since 2003, then explained that the man began to make his intentions clear. He started breathing real shallow. My experience with perverts kicked in. I could tell he was interested in me. He licked his lips and told me I was very handsome. I think I managed to say thank you and started thinking about how I could get the F out of here. Dude, I'm 11. Then he reached into his case and took out a crack pipe. He put it in his lap, took out a huge lighter, and continued to gaze at me with this overpowering sexual desire. I was just staring at him. I think I said something like, "Dude, I'm 11 again." I remember he said to me, "It's celebration, little man. To celebrate your upcoming success, your many successes. Come, sit back down." He was tapping the pipe on his crotch, smiling this total creepazoid smile. I ran out of the room, but I ran straight into this other guy who was outside the room, and he grabbed me by the arm and threw me back inside. He lit the pipe and blew the smoke in my face, which I guess he's the other guy now, the original guy. He told me to look at his shoes. He said they were made from the skin of children he and his friends had murdered. He said leather made from human skin is the finest leather known to man. Death of a child star. Macaulay Culkin said the Hollywood executive then dropped a heavy hint about the provenance of the skin used to make his shoes. He asked me if I knew Heather O'Rourke. Yeah, I remember her. I grew up watching Poltergeist. I remembered her in Happy Days. She was so cute. Then it dawned on me what he was getting at, and I vomited all over his shoes. He's taking it as, you're wearing the shoes of that dead girl. Body? Skin? That's what he's saying here right now. And we're all told, no, she had a disease. She died from a disease at a young age.
First of all, if you want to do a little bit more research, just type in what red shoes symbolism means, and you're going to basically discover that for Satanists, what it means, it's the symbol of child human sacrifice. During this sacrificial rituals, the Satanists wear red shoes, which are claimed to be made out of human leather. And you're going to find a ton of photos on the internet with, here's Tony Podesta. wearing red shoes. And then here's these very disturbing paintings with all these children that have their hands tied behind their back, and they're all wearing red shoes. If you go to qmap.pub, you can actually type in red shoe with quotations, and it'll show you all the posts that Q has commented. Here you got Bill Maher, or Bill Maher, I should say, wearing red shoes as well. And this is the necklace of Anderson Cooper's mother, who is a Vanderbilt. If you type in Anderson Cooper, mom and brother, you're going to see this picture here.
Anderson Cooper is a Vanderbilt?
Yep.
You're going to find that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's connected to that family. And I think right out of university, he spent, I think, 1 or 2 summers in the CIA, like in a program with the CIA. And then he said, like, publicly, he's just like on his show, people think I'm part of the CIA, but I worked there 1 summer as an intern and then I left. Like, obviously I'm not. I'm decided I want to be a journalist. Project Mockingbird. Like, he's the most obvious guy.
Yeah.
And so it's all about symbolism. And so she's got on her necklace a red shoe. But if you look above the bed, it's even more disturbing. So if you zoom in, you're going to see what looks like a child that's being sacrificed. And what is
I'm
this?
glad I
Is this
don't
supposed
see
to
that.
be art? There's definitely some pretty weird things going on amongst the elite. Then, of course, we've got the whole Jeffrey Epstein island. And then you got tunnels that are that have been discovered underneath this temple. And there's a lot that's still coming out. And I'm hoping that it all gets exposed.
Huh. You know, I kind of believe Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
I kind of believe him.
Right?
Like, he might have been misled. It might have been just some dude with crack. You know?
Yeah.
But it's still a horrifying story.
It most definitely is.
Why kids? And we know that to be a true thing.
Oh, yeah. Right?
Like Kevin Spacey. Was that all lies, or like it was just accepted as true? He was one of the predators in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah. Like for males, right? Like, it's kind of, I guess it would have been like kind of an open
Pedophile.
secret. Yeah.
Just like a straight up pedophile.
Yeah.
Young kids.
Young
Corey,
boys. Yeah.
Yeah. Corey Feldman is, he's quite vocal about that stuff.
Yeah. Not with Kevin Spacey, I don't think, but
Oh,
definitely.
no. Yeah. You're correct. Not Kevin Spacey.
Charlie Sheen. You ever seen that?
When he was young, he was...
No. Who did you just mention?
Kevin Spacey.
No, the other guy, Corey
Feldman.
Yeah. So he, there's the other one, Corey Haim,
right?
Maybe, right?
Haim.
The 2 Coreys, right?
Yeah.
So, and Corey Haim's the one that's dead, right?
Correct.
Right. So, he killed himself, I believe, and the other Corey there says that is basically because of all the sexual abuse he had.
Right.
And so I think Corey Feldman said that, like, admitted that Charlie Sheen raped him.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, he's done interviews where he's like crying in the interview and said, like, basically, like, we were doing a shoot of this movie and he came out of his trailer and he was like kind of drunk or something. I think he said outside between the 2 trailers, he's like, he just threw me over and fucking started fucking me. And like, he's like, I didn't know what to do, like, because I was just a kid,
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, like, and I mean, that's a huge fucking statement to say, like, to somebody, like, straight up that everyone knows, right? I mean, if that was wrong, he could just fucking take him to court, right? And then be like, you're defaming me, right? You're coming up with lies that I raped you. Like, that's insane, right? But he's not.
Right. Yeah. And like, as much as people like tout the Christian, I still would at least like to see like a memo combating it.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Hollywood. Like, at least like something to say, yeah, we know this was a thing. Like, Weinstein was a guy that did these kind of things. And Like it's just kind of vaguely talked about, but like how about like at least like letting the world see the memo, because the world already heard about the bad things, right?
Yeah.
Like at least the memo you're passing out to your employees of just like, this happened, we're not going to tolerate it. If it happens, here's the number to call for anonymous tip.
Right.
You know, every church does that.
Do they?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. They don't. We don't even know. You know, if there's any inappropriate behavior from a priest, here's the number to call. We want to stamp this out.
Yeah. No,
That-
they don't. We know for a fact that
That would have
in
gone.
fact, the Pope handles that stuff and he hides it, right? The church always hides it. Anytime there's a serious case of pedophilia or something like that, that guy gets moved to fucking a convent in Alaska or something like that. Probably working with deaf kids.
See, that's way more satanic than Christian.
Right.
Like what you're talking about, the red shoes and all of that. Like setting up an organization where it's like prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
It's so ingrained in our, like, it's a stereotype that a priest loves little kids.
Yeah. Well, imagine, okay, that kind of thing has probably been going on for thousands of years, right? That kind of, inappropriate sentiment, let's say. So if people wanted to keep that going as part, I mean, like that's what they've known, but then all of a sudden it's starting to kind of fall out of fashion, but they want to keep that going, then they would hide it in certain things, right? Rituals and whatnot, and kind of keep that going in elite circles, right? And elite has traditionally meant royalty, right? Like, it was royal families that were the heads of these things, and then it was the dukes, and it was the underlings that were all the different people, part of this pyramidal structure where you had every empire would have been a mini pyramid where you've got all your peasants at the bottom, and then you've got your guards and your other high elites, and then your top would be your king and queen. And then every empire has that. And then there's one king and queen that's kind of the top of that pyramid for all of the kings and queens of that area, right?
Yeah. Government and government work pays the best.
Yeah. But then eventually that, with the rise of industrialism, like that became robber barons and like rich people, like all of a sudden people became the new royalty,
Yeah. We never let go of it. It's too hard to let go of.
Yeah.
So like we try to have like false people come up, and what Trump's proved in the past while that fuck.
But if you've had hundreds of years of like say pedophiles that have been top of the food chain, and then plenty of time to create all kinds of secret ways to continue their debauchery. And just imagine, like, back in the day, it would have been so easy to just fucking steal a child from some peasant's house, probably in the middle of the night. And, while they're out tending their farm, and you send some, thief out, and then he brings them back, and then, you do your thing, and, bippity boppity boo. Now that would get spread out as time goes on. And now all of a sudden these circles are bringing in, these independent rich people. And then all of a sudden they start kind of rising the ranks, and now they're the ones at the top of this list, and the royalty kind of starts to get, brought out, right? Like during the French Revolution and shit was kind of the turning point where people were like, enough of the fucking monarchs, right? Like off with their head.
Yeah.
And the other monarchs, they had to decide, look what's happening. They're all losing their heads, right? We have to fucking find a way that we can still rule, but not be held accountable. And then that's where they kind of made the system that we have now, where we have all these royal families, but they don't really do anything, right? And you're like, oh, it's kind of weird that why do we have a king and a queen? They're just there, right?
Yeah,
They've got no power, but there's a royal family in England, right? That technically rules over, like, in Canada and all that. If you want to be the prime minister, if you want to be a police officer or a judge, you have to say, I swear to, that I will obey the king and all his, family. So help me God, I
Yeah.
pledge my allegiance to the royal family. That's what you say. And if you decide, oh no, I can't say that. Like I pledge my allegiance to God or something. They're like, well, sorry, you're not fit to be a judge or you're not fit to be the prime minister.
Yeah. You have to pledge allegiance to these things because that's what we want.
Yeah. Like the prime minister is literally the voice of the royal family. That's I'm pretty sure that's their job. Like they are the prime minister. That's their position is to just do what the monarchy is asking and to be their voice, because the monarchy reigns but doesn't rule.
The lieutenant governor is bigger than the prime minister.
Well, maybe that's who I'm thinking of then. I don't know. One of those guys is like a voice for the monarch, but
lieutenant governor.
But the prime minister is like the representative of the monarch, basically. So if they're not the voice, that's someone else that's telling them. They're like, hey, this is kind of the word from on high. Is your position here has to change or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's the prime minister does his thing, and the lieutenant governor watches it and like reports back
right
to the monarch and like, hey, this is what's going on. Very good. And then
every once in a while they shut it down, right? I mean, if they don't like what's going on, like in I think mid 2000, Queen Elizabeth there, or what? Yeah, Queen Elizabeth. She shut down the Parliament because we were voting on some sort of tax or something like that. I think we wanted to like tax the monarch more or get cut the amount we were funding them and whatever, and then they shut down the Parliament.
Yeah. Because they had the powers too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at all our charters, anyways, in Canada, the royal family has all the power. Like we have the option to rule over ourselves, but they have the final word on everything. It's the veto. Like I said, they reign, but they don't rule. That's where we're given the illusion, because, like I said, with the French Revolution, like they realize, like, look, if we're making these decisions, people think we're at the helm, we can lose our heads. But if we put someone they vote for in power, then they'll seem like all the decisions are their own fault, right? But then how do they make themselves relevant? They have to still stay in there and somehow convince people that, like, oh, we still need to be the royal family, but we don't have any power. It's just tradition,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point. And probably, well, not probably why, but why there's a secret society. There's someone else is running everything. Yeah, because someone took a pot shot at Trump, and the CEO of an insurance company got killed. Like, you don't want the real people running the things out in public like that. You have your figureheads.
Yeah,
go do the things. Like they brought a really good point of why things are controlled, because the government workers have a job until retirement. God bless.
Thank you. One more.
They go until retirement. They're gonna see the leadership change hands 3, 4, 5 times before they're done.
Right. Yeah. Their career.
Yeah. They have vested interest in keeping things how they are.
Yeah.
Or better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then who do they answer to in those positions, right? That's the real question. I mean, all of a sudden you're in those positions and maybe now you're a high-level Freemason,
Well, I got to have a promotion every year. What am I doing unless I'm promoted and bonused?
And then as a Freemason, it's like, oh, hey, listen, you go to a club and or club meeting or something like that, and they're like, hey, listen, we know you're in this position, you're the head of this hospital or whatever. We've been asked for you to come meet the Grand Master of this lodge. He wants to speak with you, and then all of a sudden you enter a chamber and it's like, this guy wants to talk to you in private. And then he's like, listen, you could really make some waves here and climb up high. And, Maybe you could be running 2 or 3 different hospitals here. All we need is this, this new drug that's going through. It needs to be the number one drug at the hospital, or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Who knows, right? I'm running the company now. If you buy, say, 100,000 shares of the stock, you could do very well,
Yeah.
And it's just backroom, deals like that. But when that guy's getting that information, someone else could be giving that other person the orders for that, right? There'll be 5 or 6 different people that are kind of up this chain, kind of with a demand, and then by the time it cycles through to this guy at the last section, like these people don't all know that they're being used as pawns, basically.
Yeah.
Because like I said, with the royal family is kind of running things, like they need intermediaries, right? To keep this illusion going that they reign but they don't rule. We're here and we're the royal family, but we don't have any power, right? But really, they want to make decisions. They tell like Jim, hey, you got to make sure that vote doesn't go through. And Jim tells Paul, and Paul tells Sam, and then Sam goes and tells Justin Trudeau.
Yeah. But it could be also that is true, but like not evil, because they're all in the same room, right? And they start talking about the problems of the world. They say like, oh geez, heroin's a real issue, and like it's killing people. It's we got the poppy fields and the Golden Triangle in Asia,
right,
where they're cooking it, and everything in between, cartels and death. It just sucks. So they'll say that around the table, and it would be like the Justice League, right?
Who are these Freemasons talking about this?
We'll say anybody of prominence, right?
Okay.
Let's
say Trump and some guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trump and some guys, or we'll stick with the Freemasons. They're the top level, the 33rd level,
right,
is all around their round table or square table, whatever it is. And speaking of that, and it's like all of them have some kind of attribute that got them to that point. They're not like clones of all each other. They're like the Justice League. They all have their own thing. So someone will say like, heroin's bad. Can someone do something about this? Hold on, let me talk to my science guy. And then like 1 week later, I give you fentanyl.
Yeah.
1,000 times stronger, completely made in the lab.
Yeah. 100% safe. Turns out it's not.
No, it is.
Fentanyl?
It is 100% safe.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, fentanyl itself is safe. It's used in every hospital. It saved it saved a hell of a lot. It is a wonder drug. Okay. It's awesome. Now, where it's not awesome is because it's so potent, and you can make so much with so little. You have to measure it out in micrograms.
Right.
When an anesthesiologist, a doctor, a well-trained doctor with the special tools that can measure out a milligram for a certain amount of time to be slow released into a body.
Right.
This is chef's kiss. Just an amazing medicine for our society. It works like intended. I think I was learning about it recently, and it's just like slightly better than morphine in recovery time and just overall.
So where's all this flood coming from?
Huh? Oh, the problems?
Yeah.
The problems come from a doctor, an anesthesiologist has the tools to measure it out micrograms. Not a lot of dealers do.
Right.
So if any of it settles in a certain kind of way, then like one day, hey, that's kind of weak. Like I injected a whole needle and I don't really feel anything. The next time got the rest of it.
Where can you buy fentanyl though?
The street?
Yeah, just the street, right?
Just the street.
Yeah. So I mean, if you were a drug dealer and you decided you'd want some fentanyl, you gotta get it from the street. But where's the street guy getting? He doesn't get it from the fentanyl store, right?
China.
Yeah.
China's
Go back to the root.
Yeah, China's the biggest producer of it, or so said through the news and my learnings.
But if it was so great for us, for so many things, why wouldn't we be making it? You know?
It is being made. Like, we are making it, they are making it. Like, everybody's kind of making it. It's like the Breaking Bad show. We're making meth, right?
Right. So we're like, we use ours for medical stuff, and they make what they need there, but then the other stuff is just being brought in from China, right?
Or being made at
street level stuff.
Yeah, or being made at a rogue lab that figured it out. But the idea is that China's a little more free, and like, yeah, as long as you're making it and selling it to the other countries, I don't care what you do. I just want the money.
Yeah. And then the drug trade itself, people are like, how is this all getting in here? Like, there's no way they're flying in planes packed with drugs. Like,
yeah,
especially nowadays with all the security that the government has and stuff, there's no way that secret drugs are getting through unless they know.
So there's also a reverse effect to fentanyl being dangerous on the streets. It's not only it could be extra strong at certain points because it's not measured out correctly. It could be what it's cut with. So, some people are scared that fentanyl ends up in their Coke. Yeah, but if you put Coke in your fentanyl to kind of fluff it up to cut it, or whatever common additive that they use, could supercharge the fentanyl or add side effects to it that cause death.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
because people always say fentanyl, they're like, oh, like a pin needle sized amount
that is
kill
true.
A person.
But take half of that pin needle size, and you have an effective for someone just coming out of surgery or whatever they use in the hospital.
Right.
They can do that when you have the right instruments and a sober person doing it, not someone in their basement, shaky hands, dirty equipment.
Have you ever heard that theory that China is producing this in retaliation for the opium wars?
Maybe. I believe it.
Because they were forced to take on opium by the British Empire for so long, and like they got addicted to drugs and all that, it ruined entire generations, and probably stunted their growth from their country and put them into enslavement, basically. I mean, they lost Hong Kong. That was the whole reason Hong Kong got under British rule, was because that's where they were bringing in their opium and then distributing it to China. It was like a British port and then China all around it.
Yeah. Opium dens are pretty famous for China, right?
Yeah. And so, it was like they had this like slow revenge where they were like planning out their kind of, revenge on the West. And this is it.
Yeah, I buy it.
Because there's a lot, like an inordinate amount of like, deaths and tainted products and stuff like that, shows up in places like it should have no business being,
Well, that goes back to if China ever wanted to take over, if all of our transformers, they're all made in China.
Right.
There's a circuit board on there that has a switch.
Yeah. Secret backdoor, right? Just turn everything off.
Yep. The on a certain date, the next shipment of fentanyl is going to be all lethal stuff. So all the addicts die all at once. Shut down all the power.
Yeah.
They got a good shot of taking over.
Seems like it could be done pretty easy if you were like a fucking Cobra Commander style crazy,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it could be easy for them, and I'm just gonna hope that I don't die. If they come in and like, we're here now, you're Chinese, okay. Like I like being a Canadian, but
ni hao.
Yeah, ni hao. Oh sure. If it was Japan, you're only turning a maple leaf into a dot, like not a lot different.
Yeah.
I like what we got going on, but if you're just calling it by another name, like it's still the people here. We're just going to be giving our money up to a different system. It means fuck all to me, really.
Well, so since we're on the kind of discussion of China, have you heard about the like the drop in population? There's speculation that China possibly only has 700 million people.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, there's videos galore on the internet right now. Like on the underground internet, like, you know, Chinese internet.
Yeah.
They people have to sneak them out of the country basically. But like Shanghai, I guess Hong Kong's different, but Shanghai and like all these other huge cities, Beijing, people are like walking through malls and going down the street and there's no traffic. There's nobody walking on the streets. Like people are like, where's all the people? You know, like last year I was at this mall and it was completely full. And this year, you know, there's nobody here.
Yeah.
And people are blaming it on the also economic collapse that's happening there, right?
Yep.
Like their banks are collapsing, their real estate market's collapsing, their food, all their food is fucking tainted with poison and shit. Like they're fucking each other over because that's kind of part of their culture is like a screw someone to make a buck if you can. Like it's their fault that they didn't see the scam. And it just kind of prevails out throughout the culture, like get away with what you can. And so they're like, you know, making profit and poisoning other citizens and stuff like that, not thinking of, you know, at all about it.
Yeah.
Huge countrywide scandals. Like there was a big one recently where like all the cooking oil in every grocery store smelt like gasoline. And they discovered that basically all the transport workers were taking their trucks because they're all like basically independent owned. They would like, you know, take a shipment of oil or fucking gasoline to a place and then they would hose it all out and then they would take like fucking milk to a supermarket in the same tank. You know, and so like, you know, and then cooking oil and like, so people are getting jugs of cooking oil that are lighting on fire and shit like that because they didn't properly clean out the trucks, but they're not supposed to be using fucking cross-contaminated trucks, right? You should have a food grade truck.
But it's China.
So there's all kinds of things and people realize like, okay, they came up with a system that their trucks are inspected. They've got inspections to make sure that it's okay, but the inspector just checks the nozzle around where the stuff comes out. So the guys just make sure that that's really clean. And then the inspection turns out okay every time. They're like, no one ever looks in the tank, you know? And then when you do, you look in there and see like, oh my God, this thing's like completely fucking gross. You guys are taking cooking oil in that? Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But anyways, between all of that, their society is like just totally collapsing here. So people are speculating that there might only be as many as like 700 million Chinese left.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's like almost a half drop.
Yeah,
in the last like 3 years, probably.
Yeah. Hey, 1 second. I just want to let my dog inside. She's asking me.
Okay.
Okay, come on. Let's go.
As long as she asks nice. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. There we go.
All right. And we're back. So what was the last thing we were speaking of?
China and the
yeah. So the video I saw was of a old Chinese guy that was saying, "Hey, come on out to the countryside," because all the young people have moved to the city.
Yeah,
and the old people back in the villages have died.
Right.
So he goes, there's free houses fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Please come. I need a neighbor.
Meanwhile, in the city, the video I was telling you, the woman's like showing all the, you know, all the streets and everything. She said that she's like, oh, the rumor is that everyone has left because the city's so expensive. Everyone's going back to the countryside to go live back in their homes.
Yeah.
Right. But now you're telling me the countryside, they're saying like, oh, everyone's moving to the city. Right. But really, it's just people have been disappearing.
Enough people died. Enough people disappeared.
Yeah. Between COVID, I remember when COVID was going on, there was a rumor that I think like 15 or 20 million fucking cell phones disappeared in like 1 month. Like right after like the height of the pandemic was going on, like there was like 20 or 30 million cell phones that just like disappeared off of the cell phone network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're becoming slaves in cell phone farms, in media farms. What are they? Influencer farms.
Yes.
Yeah.
You ever see those things where it's like
100
phones on a wall and they're all synced up and someone's like fucking farming content, like click current content and stuff?
Oh, there's those, but I was meaning like where it's like a warehouse and there are cubicles that are just like ground level. They only go like knee high. And in each square is like a person doing videos.
Right. Yes.
And they just stay in that square. They're slaves.
Yeah, they don't even have cubicles, man. I've seen videos where people just do it like on the street, and there's like certain streets that are like they have a nice view of the city, so you can like people are showing the camera over the like a bridge or something, and there's literally about 200 people all in a row, and they've all got those stands with the ring light on it.
Yeah,
and they're all standing there and they're dancing and like doing stuff, right? And they got the city in the background there, and it's like that's what people they're doing that because that's the only thing you can do for money right now. Like their economy is collapsing so hard. Like people are constantly putting up videos like, oh, I just finished, school. I have fucking 3 degrees and, all I can do is get a job for Uber, basically, like, their Chinese version of Uber Eats. It's like Pinduoduo or something like that, they call it. But it's like a food delivery, and they're like, oh, how can I do this? And then the guys who are the food delivery drivers, they're making videos where they're like, oh, like, I used to make $10,000 a month doing food delivery, and it was actually a real job that I could support my family. Now I'm lucky if I can only make 1,000.
Yeah.
And because there's so many people doing it now, like, all of a sudden it went from like 50 million people that were doing it. Now there's like, 100 million people that are fucking delivering food. Right. So
yeah, the newest season of Black Mirror, when you get a minute, like not with family, watch the first episode. It talks a lot about that, but it's dark as fuck.
I'll have to catch up on. I've only ever seen one episode of Black Mirror.
That's pretty good. I like it.
Everyone always mentions it, and like the concepts that I've heard like over the course of time have been like very interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I need another bathroom break.
Hit the music. Yeah. Oh yeah, girl. Let me tell you about it. We all got feelings. That's right. All right, I'm going to play this video while we're waiting because I wanted to see what this is.
What happens when neuropathy takes over and your feet start to feel numb, tingly, or burn?
Commit suicide.
This breathing tool can actually remove germs from your lungs before an infection takes hold.
Shut the fuck up.
AirPhysio is an award-winning breathing device.
All right.
This is absolutely sickening.
Papa tells us to hold
hold a knife, and then he puts his big hand on. He pushes it into the neck, cuts it. And after,
Oh
when
yeah.
it's upside
Oh
down,
Jesus,
so
I've
it's
seen
like-
this before.
it's like-
Oh, you
Okay.
got to see this.
Okay.
This is like a famous, semi-famous TikTok video of like a guy interviewing a small child, I believe in like England or something like that.
Okay.
And the kid is just discussing how they do ritual murders
Oh,
in their family. But it's like just a casual kid explaining. You can imagine like if you had a child and involved them in like crazy murder shit, but made it like it was completely normal.
yeah.
You know,
yeah,
they
yeah.
turn out like Adam's Family style. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
all right, so check this kid out.
he puts his
Okay.
This is absolutely sickening.
Papa tells us to hold a knife, and then he puts his big hand on. He pushes it into the neck, cuts it. And
Whew.
after, but when it's upside down, so it's like he goes like that. How does the baby become upside down? So you get a string, hang it up, and it's upside down when it's asleep. Well, hang the baby upside down after the injection. Yes. Miss Martin, the nurse, she injected. Miss Martin is a nurse of our school. She does the injecting. She pretends to be kind to my mom and tries to like say be kind. And then after she injects. She's the nurse, so she pretends to be kind to mom. And she saved me and if I hurt myself, she pretends to be like really kind to us and like look after us and give us ice cream. She's a member of the school? Yes, she's a. I thought they have a special something that they wear. Yes, they wear this, but they wear this special kind of shoes. They make
What shoes?
Oh.
Baby skin shoes. Daniel, Felix, and Max.
Who is Daniel, Felix, and Max?
They work at a shoe shop. Daniel and Felix, yes.
What shoe shop do they work at?
Daniel and Felix, they work in next to the O2 Center one in this tube station.
Where?
Just inside the tube station.
In the tube station where? What tube station, Daniel?
O2 Center one.
O2 Center where?
So in the corner. Tube station. I think it's the next Waitress. I didn't Hampstead. Finchley Road Station.
The tube station?
Yes, yes. So when you come in, there's this shop there, a shoe shop.
So tell me what they do, these fellows.
And those fellows, they take off the skin. I don't know how.
The skin of whom?
Oh, the baby. The baby.
And they make shoes?
Yes.
And who wears these shoes?
Papa, everyone wears the shoes.
Everyone in the cult.
Everyone in the cult.
So there's some evidence supporting the.
Either that or a very sick individual who's like fucking trained their child, you know?
Well, and kids, you know.
Well, I know. Kids, but like, I don't know. That kid
yeah.
sounded like he had that story down pretty straight, you know? To be like just coming up with all that at the minute. Oh, yes, we do it this way. We hang up the baby upside down and, you know, just casually dismembering the baby.
Yeah. But
I couldn't imagine my child coming up with anything like that just out of the blue, you know? Like they'd say something a little provocative or something, you know, maybe, oh yeah, what would it be like if they killed a baby? You know, something like that. Like it's a basic idea of killing and whatnot, but to like go through those steps is like very like they would have at the very least had to think about all that stuff, right? Which leads you to believe like what kind of path were they down thinking about that kind of stuff to come up with a story this coherent.
Well, they could have seen some like real butchering.
Yeah, like maybe just inappropriate TV or something.
Yeah.
I mean, the child looked like she was about, I don't know, 10, maybe 9, something like that.
Or even just the grocery store. I mean, what's that? Oh, that's beef, you know? And then it's hard for us, but if you try real hard to think back to like being that age,
I go into a shoes though, something like that. Like how would they even know like shoes are made of, you know?
I feel like I knew a kid that was kind of like that. that could come up with a lie like that and just like keep it going.
Maybe. I mean, that's more of a like 14-year-old, you know, or something like that. You know,
yeah,
who's like
true.
a mischievous teen.
There,
there's something about innocence of kids, you know, who I just don't think they could get too into that.
Yeah.
without some sort of experience.
It could be a special kind of kid.
That'd be like a child like discussing sexual abuse or something like that, but they've never experienced it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why would they be thinking about that kind of thing in that detail?
I believe it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could believe it could happen where like a kid just kind of knows, and it's just a kid brain making connections from some like random things that's coming out in a random way, but it's just hitting the right mark.
Right. That's the thing. I think it would come out in a random way. You know, it wouldn't come together so coherently. The way the kid was spouting off that seemed like quite a story of something they had seen, as opposed to like thinking of it on the spot, you know?
Yeah.
Which, you know, would lead me to believe that it's like, you know, if somebody's stuttering and whatever, that's like they're thinking of it on the spot. The way that kid was just going off, right, is like they've thought about it before, which means that they're probably, you know, if they were telling it that fast, they would know that they're lying, right? Which, you know, seems like a lot for a kid to come up with a story knowing that it's going to be a lie, and, you know, a preemptive big ruse like that seems unlikely.
I tried hard to make it normal, but yeah, that's a little, you know, and I have to concede to that. That's just messed up, man. Like, the kid does. Yeah, I concede to that. That kid knows something.
Yeah.
You got to hold it with both hands and then slice the baby's neck like this. And like,
that's how Papa does it, right? Just describing.
Yeah.
And, you know, also so quickly went back to Papa, like didn't really mention, you know, the mother being in that, mentioned the mother, like, you know, like being tricked by the nurse. That was part of it, right? She's the nurse. She pretends to be nice.
Wonder if that's just all British kids. you know, like they're all little gothic, and, you know, stole his heart and put it in a box. Yeah, it could be just the way they are, but shit, man. And the shoe connection, that shoe thing, that's a new one for me.
Yeah.
The Red Shoe Club. I'd
heard it a long time ago, but I'd just seen something recently that re-sparked my memory, and I was like, oh, right. Because I remember, I think the first time I heard about it was right around Pizzagate. People were kind of talking about all these connections with, you know, Tony Podesta and his fucking weird art collection, which I think we heard about in that clip where he's like, why does Tony Podesta have these pictures of girls, you know, with red shoes on, right? Like, and it's a painting by a famous artist, but this artist does all this weird pedophile art. Like, all the art is like children with like red bums and stuff like that. Like, they've been slapped and stuff, you know, and like sad faces. And
it's art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not art. It doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be, you know? You could just leave that shit alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you should.
Maybe I should make up my own memo.
Yeah.
And see if it gets passed around.
Yeah.
Just like hey, church, or like the Christian church, you look like you're Satanists more than anything. You know,
that'll go over well.
Yeah.
I bet you could be charged with a hate crime for something like that, for, you know, putting it in writing and leaving it with them.
Well, when you put it like that, but what are we just supposed to not say it? You know, there's a freedom of speech to say, like, hey, I want to meet you on a level.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, that's going to be a hard job for someone in the future. I hope that there is someone that could meet pedophiles on their level to stop it.
Yeah.
Because as it remains stigmatized, it might breed more, because it's just like the only way you can enjoy it is like well hidden and in shadows.
Yeah, for the most part, but it is secretly kind of accepted in certain parts, and, you know, even encouraged in certain ways. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's
certain
our
parts of
fear.
the country, you could get busted in a child pornography sting and you could, get off the hook with a slap on the wrist kind of thing, right? Whereas other places that would send you to jail really fast, right? That kind of depends on their kind of moral ground in that state or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of a focus of I don't know if I want to call it this show, but at least myself, that's what I want to stand. I want the world to get behind that. If nothing else, like we can't find out any kind of like
the common
secret
ground we can all agree on. Like, all pedophiles must die.
Well, no, I'm not saying die, because I don't condone killing. So I don't think that's what I was talking about, the hard job of trying to meet them on their level to stop it. Because if it's not stigmatized like that and it's come out like somebody does like the coach knee, like, hey guys, some of you like them a little young.
Yeah.
And we have decided as a world that's wrong.
Right. But more and more we're trying to accept it, right? Now it's minor attracted peoples.
Can we draw a line?
No, that was the line. That was the
I know they're trying
line.
to change the
They're
name
trying to change the line. They're trying to move the line.
Yeah, like I'm not a pedophile. I'm a minor attracted person. No, it's the same definition. We're trying to talk about the same thing, and that's a misdirect.
Yeah.
And victimizing about it, how about help?
Yeah.
An avenue for a guy to say, hey, I have this thought. I know it's wrong. So can we do something about it so I don't actually harm a kid? Whoa. Like, let's get behind that. Like something so it stops. Not just talking and yapping and like I do believe there are good people out there,
right,
doing the good work.
Psychology, though, it said that like Freud and I guess Jung, they made psychology became a thing because of their work. It wasn't really taken too seriously before that. And then all of a sudden they came along, pushed it as like, no, psychology is this real thing. And then you look back at their work and it seems like they were like covering for a lot of people who were being sexually abused and, like sexually, like pedophiles and stuff like that. They were trying to make excuses for them. Like if you look back through his work, I guess a lot of his thesis and stuff like that was like trying to convince sexual assault victims and stuff, like young children, that like this was a natural thing, and it was like it was more of a psychological barrier than it was like a physical thing,
Yeah. Well, however, I do know that whoever it takes, form it takes, I'm not going to want to be a part of it. Like as I want to do for like that crusade is, like I said, like make a memo of just like, hey, Hollywood industry, there's been a lot said about you. Disney, about what you've done to children, and they're kind of coming out and saying all these things. Here is my memo. Can you please distribute it to amongst your coworkers?
Right.
Yeah, which is, we don't tolerate this. We don't like it.
But in the rest of the world, it's another thing too, right? Like, have you seen that like dancing boy thing in Afghanistan?
No.
I watched. Try and find this documentary for some time, but it's called I think it's called The Dancing Boy.
Okay.
And it's like a documentary on YouTube, but it just follows around this whole culture. I forget what it's called. Like it's called like Baj Bazir or something like that. But it's basically young boys dressing up very, very feminine and dancing for men in a room. Like people bring these certain boys and they bring them to these events and then have them dance and whatever. And so the guy's interviewing all these people as part of this culture. And, they're talking very openly about how they keep these boys with them. They're not allowed to see their parents. They like basically go to poor families and buy their kids off of them. And they're like, oh, don't worry, we're going to just take care of them. We're going to give them a good life. They know what's going on. The parents do, basically. And then they dress them up, teach them how to dance these dances. And like they're showing like the words that these kids were singing. And it was just like, oh, I want you to embrace me. And like, I love to feel your warmth and all this kind of stuff, you know, like that's where the lyrics of the songs.
I'm a genie in a bottle. You got to rub me the right way.
Yeah. And so this guy's doing this documentary and the people he's interviewing are very open about this, you know, but they're still being secretive, but they're being very open about like, you know, the culture of it, I guess. And so, you know, he's interviewing this guy and he's like, oh yes, this is my boy. I keep him. And he's like touching him and whatever. And the boy is acting very like, oh, like he likes it, you know, like, oh, you're too kind to me. You're too kind. And then after the guy goes, the guy's interviewing him and he's like, so, you know, what is it like? You know, do you like to be this? And he's like, no, I want to go home. Like he rapes me, you know, like all this stuff, right? And and the guy was like, do you have sex? He's like, only if they like to, then I can, because it's okay when we say both us we like, you know. And yeah, so like, and then the kids are like, oh yeah, no. And then the guy was talking with another guy. He's like, oh, I went to my friend's place and he brought his boy and he was wonderful. You can do anything to him. He just lays there. You know, like just so open about it, right? And it's an entire culture. Like this guy making the documentary was going to booths at flea markets and buying videos and stuff. And it's, you know, videos of the more of the dancing, you know, because it's kind of, you know, pornography, I think is pretty illegal still. But yeah. So, but anyway, something I was interested to find out about was that the Taliban was the number one reason that this didn't happen. They used to come in and make sure that none of this kind of abuse would happen. They were like very against that kind of thing. And now that the Taliban is gone, all of a sudden the resurgence has started in the last like 10 years. And now it's a huge industry of this like sexual exploitation of young boys.
No.
Yeah.
Kind of like that like kid pageant show. But
yeah.
Way grosser.
Yeah, it's the kid pageant show. It's that they make them dance and then they you know pass them around with their friends after,
like trading cards.
Yeah, and they're not usually their kids. Like I said, they usually find, you know, there's so many poor people. They find a good looking boy on the street. This is how the guy described it. What he does. Oh, I go to a city. I look for a poor boy who looks, you know, handsome. And then I follow him until I see where he lives. And then I go to his parents and I offer them money. And then they say, well, it's better than him begging on the street. Right. So they send him away with him. And then he's like, every month they send them $1,000, you know, and they're more than happy to have their kid rented out.
So you just gave me a new lottery dream. With my money, I'm going to go and I'm going to buy a bunch of dancing boys, but I'm gonna train them to be like super fighters. just like we're gonna go to Thailand, 1,500 each. You're gonna train on the beach,
right?
You know, and then I'm gonna go back, and they're gonna fight all like for all the other dancing boys. But like they're all the kids I'm gonna buy. I'm gonna name them after Pokemon. Pikachu, I choose you. Go get him.
Yeah.
And it's really like this huge guy that just walks over and kills somebody with one punch. Poff.
Might be misleading if you have a child named Squirtle.
Yeah. Squirtle. Yeah, Charizard.
The guy's like, I want that dancing boy. Squirtle, you are mine.
Yeah. Oh, and then yeah, but it's really like a 30-year-old guy. I'm Squirtle.
Oh man, I remember watching a documentary about this guy, this family who had lost their child. I think they had ran away or been abducted or something like that. And this was somewhere in America. And then like, I want to say like 5 years later, they got a call from this person in like Guatemala. And it was like, oh, it's me. I'm your son. And they flew over there and like it was just like a man who was like shaving his head and like cutting his hair really short or something. Or no, it was a woman who was cutting her hair really short, I think, to like disguise herself as a boy. and then was like pretending to be this family's son. And like they showed pictures and the kid looked nothing like this guy. But the family, I guess they just had like this extreme PTSD and they just wanted to believe that their son was alive so bad that they're like, oh, it's you. And they were hugging him. And then they brought him back to America and like, you know, slowly became clear that that wasn't their kid. Like everyone who saw it was like, that's a Guatemalan person. Like, no, that's Stevie. Don't you? Can you recognize Stevie there? He's like, yes, it is me, Stevie.
Yeah. But if you had a lie, that would have got you in to live in a mansion for a while.
Well, that's what he said. The guy who was doing the scam, right? I mean, eventually when he got caught and then got arrested and everything, because it was like, not only was he not a 15-year-old boy or whatever who had, he had missing when he was 10. Now he was supposed to be 15, but he was in fact a 45-year-old man, but he just happened to be this tall, but like his face said it all, but he just wore a cap and bleached his hair blonde to the same color as this kid. And it just somehow they passed it off. Like I said, this family just wanted to believe it so bad. Right.
Yeah. Well, at least they got something for a little while. Yeah. Well, anyways, you want to call it there? We've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, we're hitting the midnight mark here.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening. My name is Kyle.
And I'm Nate.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Next time. Catch you on the flip side.